Hollywood is a town of hope and ghosts. In the Champagne City where every night movie magic meets boozy tragic, there are a million horrifying and unexplainable stories waiting to be told. Together, me and my crack team of investigative journalists are going to tell them all. I'm Mark Manley, and this is Haunted Hollyweird. Ernest P. Worrell was created in the early 1980s by producer John Cherry and actor Jim Varney. The character was used in local and national TV advertisements before being spun into a long-lasting and highly successful film franchise. But for Varney, the success was bittersweet. While he and his creation had become household names, he yearned to show his acting range and break free of the Ernest persona. By the late 1990s, he had claimed that Ernest P. Worrell had begun to take over his life, even after the cameras had stopped rolling. In February of 1998, the last film in the Ernest cycle, Ernest-R.A.R.E, was released. Less than 2 years later, Jim Varney passed away. But the story of Ernest does not end there. 2 weeks after Varney's death, New Line Cinemas received a script for the 10th and final installment in the Ernest cycle. The film was titled Ernest Goes to Hell. No one knew where the thing had come from, and the screenwriter was credited only as EPW. Varney's involvement with the project is unknown, but the film would have seen him taking on more dramatic roles, giving him a chance to show his range. He would appear as Ernest franchise favorites like Aunt Edna and the Snake Guy, but also make appearances as an angel, a demon, and even the devil himself.
I am Mike Lassen. Jesus! My name is Mike Lassen. I was the head of the studio over at New Line at the time, and I knew Jim quite well. We had a lot of fun, and we made a lot of money making those Ernest movies. But, to be perfectly honest with you, or to be perfectly earnest with you, he kind of freaked me out. It's like he didn't know how to turn it off. You'd invite Jim Varney to your kid's bat mitzvah, and Ernest would show up. And the kids loved him, so he didn't say anything. But one time, I walked up to him, and I said, Jim, thanks for bringing Ernest to the party, but next time maybe warn a guy. And he looked me right in the eyes, bless his heart, and he said, I know what you mean, Vern.
Details are scarce about the screenplay, but the plot allegedly involved the untimely death of the titular character, Ernest, in the first 5 minutes of the film, murdered by his longtime neighbor Vern in a graphic sequence shot entirely in the first person. The rest of the film concerned Ernest's Dante-esque journey into the afterlife.
I have no idea who sent the script, but I had my interns read the script, and their summary of the script scared the shit out of me. I mean, I evacuated everything south of my sternum. I literally pooped my pants inside of the intern's office. I shit my fucking pants, okay? What? Oh, yes. So after that, the tapes started coming in.
1 month after the arrival of the script, never-before-seen footage began to arrive. The images were shaky, grainy, and obviously shot on home video. But one thing was clear. The star of the tapes was Jim Varney. Or at least, Ernest P. Worrell.
Is this good? Am I in the right spot? Do I look at you? Do I look at the camera? Do I look at you? Don't look at the camera. Do look? Okay. I'm gonna look at you. My name is Jack Cherry. Former police officer. 20 years on the force. Now I am a private investigator. And I was a private investigator at the time. I'm a lifelong Cubs fan, and currently, 5 times divorced, currently single. Hello, ladies. Well, it was when my wife and I were going through our divorce, my second wife, that is, and that would have been 1999. That's when I was hired by the studio to look into who it was that was sending in these Ernest tapes. They brought me in to show me a few, and I gotta say, they were highly erratic in nature. Not what I would have expected from a family kind of comedy sort of guy. And he did them all in character. But some of these were, unusual. They were filmed in, like, basements and, like, caves. There was one that I think was a dungeon. He was Ernest when he was f***ing the chicks. He was Ernest when he was sucking off the guys. When he was f***ing people. He was Ernest when he was the donkey, and the lady was riding on top, and she was dressed as a Supreme Court justice. He was still Ernest when he and two other guys were in a train each other, and then a chick comes up and in his mouth. That was Ernest that got in the mouth. He was still Ernest when he took a garden hose and put it up some chick's and he peed in the end of it, and I ain't never seen that before. When he and two other chicks were making out, and then he pees in their eyes, and then they spit in his hole, and he spits it back out into her mouth, and then she passes it to him, and she puts the in his mouth, and then he spits it into a guy's hole, and then the guy sits on his face, and the girl. Off the record, I thought a lot of the tapes were erotic masterpieces. Don't put that in.
But soon the tapes took a darker turn. Exterior, day. A graveyard on a rainy winter morning. The funeral of Ernest P. Worrell. The scene is shot from behind a nearby tree, the cameraman peering out as though afraid of being caught, giving the scene a sense of voyeurism. Extreme upward angle of Auntie Nelda throwing the first fist of dirt onto the coffin. The camera moves down into the interior of the casket. A long take of Ernest P. Worrell lying silent, dead. It is an agonizing 10 minutes before he takes his first gasp.
Before Jim Varney died, we had 7 new Ernest movies in development. There was Ernest Down Under, Ernest in Toronto, Slam Dunk Ernest, Part 2 and 3 was a 2-parter. There was Ernest versus Urkel, Urkel versus Ernest Part 2, Revenge of the Nerds versus Ernest, Revenge of the Nerds versus Ernest in Paradise, Ernest versus Alien versus Predator, and my own personal favorite, Ernest. These turds wrote themselves. But in all those turds, they had one thing in common. Ernest lived. Ernest doesn't go to hell. The Ernest that I knew, the Ernest that I loved, the Ernest that I made love to, he would go to heaven. And if I had one wish in this world, if I was Aladdin with the genie's wish in the palm of my hands, it would be that we had made all those movies together. So that I'd have money for drugs.
Somehow, despite Varney's death, and the impossible notion that any screenwriter would do any work for free, the insidious tapes kept arriving at the studio.
So that it was the afternoon of would have been June 4th, 2000. I was still with my fourth wife then. I was leaving one of Varney's associates' houses, or one of his lovers, after an interview, and heading back to the bus stop when I noticed the guy back behind me following me, about 200 feet back. And he had a gray t-shirt. He was a skinny, tall, white guy, had the hat. He had a blue vest on, and it was Ernest, It was Ernest following me. It looked like him. And I get pretty nervous because this is this guy, and I think, but Ernest is dead. Well, Varney is dead. So I'm moving to the bus stop. He follows me all the way there. He's still there when I get on the bus and leave, and he's back there 300 feet back, and he's still walking toward me. He's like following me, following the bus. Like the Terminator. Ugh. I still think about it at night. When I arrived back at my apartment, there'd been a break-in. There was graffiti all over the walls, on all of my collectibles, my treasured Cubs jersey, my Pez collection, and I've been on the force for 32 years, 17 years as a private investigator. Nothing scares me, but this scared me. All the graffiti said, Ernest lives.
Before the reels or screenplay could be duplicated, a massive fire broke out at the New Line Pomona extension for pornography and character comedy, destroying almost all evidence of the project.
That fire put an end to my career, and to a lot of evidence that would have put an end to my career. So I call it a wash. But I think, honestly, after everything, the gambling, the drugs, the whoring, the sleeping around, the men, the women, the bankruptcy, the slam dunk Ernest, that if I would do anything I could to get back to those old days, to the Ernest days.
In my professional opinion, Jim Varney is dead. The coroner report demonstrates that. But Ernest is alive. And he's manifested himself as some kind of evil entity through the power of his own thought. He's some kind of a tulpa, if you will, walking the earth, spreading evil and family comedy content. Either that or the whole thing is a prank.
Would I use the footage, if I had it, to make a brand new Ernest movie, regardless of the consequences, supernatural / otherwise? I refuse to answer that question. But yes, I would. I would definitely do that.
I think he's still out there, trying to make his movie. Ernest's movie. Maybe we're all just living an Ernest movie. In his dream, his nightmare.
I didn't have anything to do with Ernest Goes to heck, or any of those goddamn hell tapes. Ernest is dead. Like, I'm pretty sure. 99% sure. He could be alive. It could have happened.
Jim Varney is in heaven. But Ernest deserves to go to hell.
The only remaining evidence of the project is partial footage from a teaser trailer for the film.
Calling all Ernest fans. You've seen him go to camp. You've seen him save Christmas. You've seen him go to jail. You've seen him scared stupid. You've seen him write again. And you've even seen him go back to school. You've seen him slam dunk. You've seen him go to Africa. And you've even seen him clone his very own Ernest-R.A.R.E. Now, in a brand new family adventure, you can watch Ernest P. Worrell go to hell.
So, did you figure it out? Was this tale of Ernest in the afterlife an exercise in heavenly truth? Or were we the devil on your shoulder, trying to mislead you? Guess what, Vern? This one was true. Similar events happened in Hollywood, California in the late 1990s. Well, until next time, truth seekers, keep your eyes on my show.